Hey everyone, today we are diving into ReduxJsToolkit and tags specifically. Here, for example, I have a website, demo website, and where I'm calling getAddresses component, getAddresses API, sorry. And this is the address component that I have. For example, once I refresh this page, it calls this getAddresses API to the backend, which I get this address. And I'll show you component right here. This is the component addresses.js. Here I'm calling this query use getAddresses query from ReduxJsToolkit, which is provided by a API slice, address slice. And I'll show you something cool with this slice building. For example, if I create this slice and I have some functions, for example, getAddresses, update address, or add an address. This is called a query. It's a simple query, and the add, update, and delete are called mutations. And the best part about this is ReduxJsToolkit provides something called tags. I can specify this tag types up here. For example, I'll get the addresses, I'll update them, or I'll add them. And once I provide a tag to a function, I can invalidate some previous tag. For example, I have this here. Let's say I add an address. I want to invalidate the previous caching or previous getAddresses function. So I want to call that API again without me specifically calling refetch or specifically calling this getAddresses again. So if I go back to my component, let's say I added something here or update something. Let's call it Peter Parker. I save it. It calls update address and it automatically calls for me getAddresses function again. So I refresh the page or basically refetch this API without actually doing anything or without calling that function specifically, which is really nice of ReduxJsToolkit. Next up, we have another example. For example, let's see, I want to place this order. Once I place this order or click this button, I shall call an API called add order. And this is defined in my order slice.js. Here I have some functions, for example, get orders or create order. And same thing with this, create order provides a tag called add order and invalidates the previous tag, which is get order. So the get orders query gets called again. But one thing I want to show you something is that once I place this order, I also want to recall my cart, which is the cart API slice. It's right here. Here I'm trying to call the cart using get cart, and it provides the tag cart. And I want to invalidate this cart, this tag from my order slice via creating order. But it doesn't really work. Let me show you why. So let's see, example, I place this order. It goes to create this order. It calls user details again, but it doesn't really call the get cart again, which is this. So if I resend, of course it's going to change. Now it doesn't have anything because your order is placed, but it should have been called automatically. So why the invalidate tag doesn't work here anymore? Well, the problem is really because there are two different slices. One is in cart slice and one is in order slice. And in short, they are like two different things. See, cart slice and order slice are differently concatenated to the middleware. They are two different slices and having two different paths. I can also show you here in Redux. Open the chart. See, my state is divided into different parts. One is cart API and one is address and also one is order. Now to solve this problem, I have been doing refetching. So instead of invalidating the tag here, so let me remove this tag, invalidate tags, or I can just search for cart. Here, let's remove this, save it. And instead of doing this, I'll go to my address slice basically. Now where I have, not address slice, sorry. I'll go to my address component and wherever I'm calling basically create order. So this is the create order function from order slice. Here is when I'm creating this order or when basically I'm waiting and then I get a response back, I'm navigating the user to the payment step. So while doing this, I'll also basically call this refetch. And where does refetch come from? I basically want to get refetch from the cart. So I'll call here const refetch. Oh, there we go. API LLM is helping. Use get cart query. There we go, and done. So once I place an order, I'll show you another example. Let's create another order. Well, because my cart is empty now, I have to add another one. Let's check this one. Add to cart. Checkout. Let's also call this network tab. And I want to clear this up, so just open it again. Okay, so I'll go to place order. So here it automatically called get cart again because I did a refetch, a hard refetch. Well, here we go. So this, to summarize, invalidate tag doesn't work when you have two different slices. When you have two different API slices, one is in cart slice and one is in order slice. In that case, you have to use refetch. But when you have the same slices or same functions in the slice, you can use invalid tag, and it's a recommended way to do so by ReduxJsToolkit.